welcome back to another episode of In the Sheds. I'm down at ASG with none other than Aaron. Mate, hello, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Mate, we picked a good day. It's pissing down rain.
Well, at least it's not 98% humidity inside this shop for a change.
I'm pretty sure last time I was down here it was stinking hot.
Yeah, look, sadly, anyone that's been down here for an open day or a dyno day,
Yep.
we're a one door in, one door out premises, and we are big, 750 squares, but yeah, the sad reality is it does hold the heat.
And speaking of heat, you've got a few cars which can turn up the heat, which we're sitting in front and beside of. What's the go, mate? Let's start with Vader, obviously, because it's right beside me. What's the project with that? What's the build? What's it been? Where do you want to go with that?
So Vader has come solely from Richie's inspiration. So obviously those of us that have watched the show know all about Street Outlaws.
Yep.
You know, how cool this TV series was and how cool the original OG Murder Nova car was. Well, Richie had a couple of tough cars, as we all know. We
Yep.
built him the red R8 wagon that
Yep.
made over 2,000 horsepower. Cody's the lucky new owner of that.
Yep.
And then he also had a Precision PR16
Sure.
R35 GDR. Had a lot of success with the GDR. I think that car ran over 180 mile an hour.
Yep, that's fast.
And yeah, it is. And, you know, like people sort of misjudge that, you know, Richie, can he steer? Can he do this? Can he do that? Well, the boy can steer a car.
You have to have some sort of understanding on how to drive a car to get in something like that.
Yeah,
Yep.
and just because it's an all-wheel drive car, last car that people have seen him drive, doesn't mean to say he can't drive a rear-wheel drive car.
100%.
So he's been pretty passionate about the whole Street Outlaw stuff. We
Yep.
really like the concept. We like
Yep.
the no-prep style thing. And he came to me when he sold the wagon and he said, I want to build a big block twin turbo car
Yep.
that goes pretty fast.
Yep.
You know, I wanted a fast car. And I said, well, a big block twin turbo thing for me, the street car stuff, it's amazing and I know we all love it and I love it too and I respect all the guys that do drive their street cars.
Yep.
I wish I drove Hellraiser a lot more than I do. I just don't get the time with the business
Yep.
to change the tyres and put the
Of
exhaust
course.
back on it and then go for a cruise. But Richie's sort of got stuck in that, do I build a race car, do I build a street car program? And I said to him, build a race car.
Totally.
I think it's a better way to go.
I think it's to tap into the car's full potential. Yeah, it has to be a race car, right?
I think so. And the other thing you got to look at is when we start talking about big block powered cars that are twin turboed or pro charged like your car,
Yep.
we're talking about a lot of power.
100%.
A lot of power and a lot of torque. And the safest environment to be utilising that really is on the track.
And that's the only place you'd be able to use predominantly all the power too.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah, like even the panel van, you know, everybody's like, oh, you know, that makes 1,800 horsepower or whatever it makes.
Yep.
You know, that's why you beat us at no prep. Well, it's not true. At no prep, we'd
You had
never
to dial
use
it
that
in.
much power.
You'd never be able to put all that
You
down.
can't.
No.
But
How fun was that to drive? Like with the tyre on it?
look, the panel van's a barrel of fun.
Yep.
But the Nova's a lot more fun. You know, like Richie hasn't driven it yet, unfortunately. Time hasn't allowed him to do it. But 2 years ago when we picked up the build on that car, he came to me with that concept and he said, well, look, if we're going to do this, I love the Murder Nova car.
Yep.
I really like the concept of what they've done with it.
Yep.
I would like to do something very similar to that.
An Aussie version.
An Aussie version. So
And you've basically done that from the ground up. You've done everything on the chassis table, the whole lot.
absolutely every single thing done to this car was done in this shop.
That's incredible.
Including the vinyl roof. I even put the vinyl roof on myself.
Did you have any sway as to the look of it or anything? You were just like, mate, you come with your dream, I'll build it.
Richie came to me and he said, I want a 72 to 74 Nova. I want a twin turbo big block. I want it to make over 2,000 horsepower. And I want it to be no prep compatible for a no prep big tyre.
Sure.
So I sourced a Nova shell from a friend of mine in Alice Springs. We bought the rolling shell. It came out here on a truck and essentially went straight down the back of the shop, cut the floor out of it, chucked it up in a jig and basically built a complete double frame rail, you know, SFI approved.
So the goal with that this year, what's the plan, mate?
Look, it's a challenging thing at best. A lot of people don't understand how much work goes into taking a car like that to the track. You certainly do, because the Fox Body's really gone to the next level now. That you've stepped out of the LS program and gone into the big block program. So you can appreciate, you know, how much work goes into everything that's going on. Richie's reached a point after we built this car, it's been 2 years, and when we started the build on this car, Richie was the guy that had all the time in the world, and he had a budget, and we've worked to that budget. I'm sure it's probably blown out a little bit.
As they always do.
They sadly always do. But his deal was like, he could come to the shop at any point, he could go to an event at any point. He was helping me in the background, you know, filming stuff and that here in the shop for me. Well, he's now in a position, you know, with family commitments, he's back to work full time. and he's really struggling to find time to do anything.
Yep.
So at
And
the moment,
you've got to find that balance act too of being able to live life, but also do the race car stuff.
100%. And he's got a young fella as well, you know. He's young fella Hudson, who's, you know, right into his skate park stuff and everything as well. And
Well, maybe in a couple of years he might be able to get behind the wheel then.
You need to get some legs on him. As long as he gets Richie's long legs, he'll be right to reach the pedals.
Perfect.
But yeah, the plan is, obviously we tested it. It ran 426 on the big tyres.
Which is pretty badass for first time out.
It was its only full pass to the 8th mile. I drove it, obviously, and then I clicked it off probably at about 4.1 into the run. It still went 175 mile an hour. We've got a couple of little teething problems. We need to get a different converter for the car. That's on its way, should be here next week.
But that's all the stuff that you can only figure out at the track though when you do some testing.
It is, it is. And look, you know, everyone saw we pulled it off the dyno with 2,700 and something horsepower, whatever it was, quite soft. And to be honest, when we ran 426, that was dynoed at about 36 or 37 pounds of boost, I think. We only had 29, 30 pounds of boost in it.
Still plenty to go.
It's still fast enough to make the car a competitive car.
100%.
So
the weight of the car? There's
no real secrets. It's 2,850 pounds with a driver in it.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's not light, it's not heavy either. You know what I mean? It's
Well,
not panel van heavy, it's not
I hear all these
3,500.
stories of guys in America, and they're like, yeah, 2,400 pounds, fully loaded, and it's like, how the fuck are you guys doing these? Like, especially in some of the Fox bodies, which I'm referring to, and you're like, mate, I have no idea how you can make them that light.
Look, it's an incredibly expensive outcome to get a car under 2,700 pounds. In all my racing career with what we've done, you know, not only here, but in the Middle East, to get a car under 2,700 pound and be a safe car to go racing, it is a hard thing to do. And it's costly. And it's change over to titanium. Everything's carbon. You know, we are a steel roof and quarter car, so to skin that out even more and take all the sills out and really get that car down, like the whole front end and the doors, they're not carbon fibre. It's just a fiberglass front, fiberglass doors.
And engine will be somewhat heavy, and then you've got two big turbos hanging off it.
98s are heavy.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. In my younger days, they weren't that heavy, but now I'm 50 years old, they're getting heavier by the minute.
Feel it in the back a bit more.
Mate.
Now, mate, let's touch on the UAE side of things. We're just chatting off camera here. I had no idea you'd done this. I mean, this is incredible. You've basically gone over and worked on some of the most badass, or with some of the most badass guys that are still racing today. Yeah,
I've had a pretty fulfilling career in motorsport myself, I feel. I've been lucky. I haven't done as much notoriety type stuff here in Australia other than what you guys have seen over the last couple of years. But when I was younger, I was very lucky. I spent a lot of time in the Middle East, and I used to work for a company in the Middle East doing fly-in, fly-out work in Kuwait. And I did that and have worked for those guys for almost 20 years now.
Wow.
Building engines and doing tuning and shipping parts to them. And through that network of having a Toyota Supra over there quite a long time ago that ran 680s at over 200 mile an hour with a 2J and a stock chassis.
How many years are we talking?
Oh, we probably ran that car probably ran those numbers 17 to 18 years ago.
Wow. So that was really like paving the way in a sense for that car.
It was, and hence why in my earlier younger days we had a lot of 2J stuff, you know, like we talked about before, where I won the Jamboree with a 2J powered car and a Liberty transmission in 2009 or whatever it was.
Wow.
But
mate, I was only just getting out of nappies, you know, like
well, incredible. That's lucky for you. I wish I was 30 something years old still. But then, you know, from that, stemming from all of that stuff, racing in Qatar, racing in Bahrain and that with the Supra, I got to know a few people in the Middle East. And I had an opportunity in 2016, 2017 where I was offered a job at Al Anabi Racing in Qatar for Sheikh Khalid, ruling family of Qatar, for those that don't know.
So budget-wise, there'd be almost nothing that's...
Well, KH was basically Cletus McFarlane before Cletus McFarlane was around. So he has a workshop facility which is on a racetrack, which they own. So essentially at any given moment, he can just pull a Pro Mod out of the shed and go tow it around to the start line from the actual workshop.
Wow.
So
is that the same family that they used to come over and the Vodafone V8 supercar team was the guy and he goes, I want to buy that. And he bought the whole assembly trailer, the whole team, is that?
Yeah, it's not the same guy, but it's the same type of thing. So yeah, Al Anabi Racing's owned by Sheikh Khalid. who is the brother of the ruler of Qatar.
Wow.
So yeah, the budget's very high.
Yep.
They've had, you know, NHRA top fuel teams. They still sponsor pro mods
Wow.
and all sorts of stuff. Frank Manzo and all those guys. But yeah, I was lucky enough when I was there, and I was employed there for a different role, but I was employed to help them with the LS program for their sand rails, doing twin turbo LSs and supercharged LSs.
They're such badass things, hey?
So much fun, like ridiculous fun. And
You get to drive them?
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, and you know, like I definitely can't drive them like they can.
Of course.
Yeah, like these guys will put a fright in you when they drive them.
I feel like you'd have to pick your balls up, throw them over your shoulder, and strap yourself into something like that, hey?
you got to do that before you even get in.
Yeah.
It takes courage to get in the car with them
bet.
because they're crazy as a cut snake.
You watch them just power wheelie at 100 mile an hour, like.
You see that, but you don't even appreciate how steep the hill is.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the sand hills that we're running those cars up and down on, astronomically steep.
Sure.
If you were to go up one of those hills in a normal Nissan Patrol and just try to turn around, if you didn't have enough speed when you turned around, you would literally roll the car down the hill.
I'll see if we can, I know the ones you're talking about, see if I can load in a video here for the people that don't know what we're talking about, but I watched some of that stuff. They have like the big annual one.
They
do.
do.
You look at the video and you're like, to me, like, fuck, that looks steep, but the video wouldn't do it justice.
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't
Yeah.
until you see someone try to walk up there and not be able to even walk up the hill.
Yeah, sure.
So I was lucky enough when I was there doing that program that Shake Coloured had paid Pat and Lizzie Musey to come over with their Pro Mod with the King Kong car.
Rest in peace, Lizzie.
Yeah, rest in peace, Lizzie. And whilst I was there, we're talking with Shake Coloured about how they were going to run the program, who they needed on the team. Just out of pure coincidence, Pat turned to me and started talking to me when we were standing around and introduced himself. And at that point, with our crew of guys working in the Middle East, I was one of the only guys there that was a good English-speaking guy.
Sure.
And staying in the same hotel, he said to KH, can I get Aaron on the team?
How good.
For when we race, because he's English-speaking, he's got a drag racing background, I'll be able to put into use, you know, pumping some tyres up or something.
And you get it.
Yeah. And
Wow.
I was lucky. I spent
That's incredible.
11 months full-time racing with them in Bahrain and Qatar and that, and just working on Pat and Lizzie's car for 11 months.
The best of the best.
Yeah, got to meet a lot of really awesome people throughout that 11 months and learn a lot about what we do in racing. Adam Lambert from Penske Racing and PRS Suspension and those sort of guys.
Yeah, cool.
It was just probably one of the best experiences of my life.
What made you get into drag racing?
It was a simple fact of evolution from being a ratbag street racer, you know what I mean, to everyone sort of going, get off the streets, you're an idiot, you know, go and race at the track and prove yourself, prove your worth.
So, street racing days, let's wind back the clock even further. First car?
First car was a Ford Telstar TX5 Turbo.
Yes. Yeah. I know them very well,
Yeah, and it lasted about 6 weeks because when I bought it, I didn't even know that it was front wheel drive. So that was quite disappointing when all my mates were doing burnouts and I had a front wheel drive car. So after 5 weeks, I was driving past car yard in Currumbin and there was a white VH Commodore there. And I pulled in, had a chat to the guy and basically drove out in a white VH.
Beautiful.
Rear wheel drive 6-cylinder Commodore that I could drop a skid in.
My first was a TX3.
TX3?
Yep.
Yeah.
I thought I was the sickest. I took the seats out, got rid of the rails, put it on the floor, couldn't even see over the dash. And I was like, put little neons inside it, little front bar.
No, it was a cool thing. So I did absolutely nothing to the TX5, but that was my first car. And the VH Commodore was a white VH that I had this grand plan of building it into like a Group 3 Brocky, etc., etc. Through the budget of a apprentice cabinet maker. It never happened, obviously.
Which back in those days, what roughly would it cost? Like, would you be earning a week?
$96.80 a week.
Wow.
Yeah. As a first year apprentice cabinet maker.
Wow. How times have changed now. They're probably on a couple of bucks a week.
Yeah, look, if my guys were paid anything like I was paid as an apprentice, I don't think they'd even get out of bed.
And probably you'd cop much more abuse back in the days that you wouldn't get away with now?
A phenomenal amount of abuse, And all of the, the hazing and everything that went along with it that you just can't do now because you hurt someone's feelings and they take you to court because, you picked on the colour of their eyes or something.
So after the VC, or V8, sorry?
Yep.
What happened next?
I rolled into another Ford just purely out of the fact that I wanted a V8. One of my mates that I knocked around with, his dad was a mechanic in Currumbin. He used to be a Porsche mechanic and he was just had his own general mechanical shop, and he had a XC GXL Fairmont, which was basically like the XP GT, XB GT, sorry, but in an XC. And I had that and I evolved from your 6-cylinder into that with a V8 and started to play with Holly carbies and figuring out naturally aspirated engines. And
What do you prefer, V8s or Jap stuff?
in my life, we've done so much variable work. I've built a lot of import engines, as in, like RBs, 2Js, 4G63s. You know, we've done a lot of that stuff. I like it a lot for the simplicity of those engines. I really do. Obviously, no push rods, overhead cams. There's a lot of things there that I really like. The one thing that you cannot beat, and I don't think you really will ever beat it personally, and that is the sound of a V8.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
Twin turbo V8, that gets me every time.
Look, all the 2J stuff we did in the early years, we were making some crazy power. Even, when I was younger, making 1,800 horsepower at the wheels out of a 2J with an auto behind it.
Which is impressive.
In the Middle East. Well, back then it was not even really heard of to make 1,200,
sure.
So when we did that, it was pretty awesome, and it was hard to say no to a package like that in your race car, but you just can't beat the sound of a V8. So I've always tolerated the intricacies of a pushrod V8 just purely because of the fact that it sounds so much better.
Now the shop, how long have you had it, mate?
This shop, we've been in the Coomera shop for 4 and a bit years. We've been back in Queensland now for about 10 years.
So you were interstate beforehand?
So I grew up here and I had a shop here, Dino Source. It was called at Nerang for many years. I worked at APC, Advanced Performance Centre Tuning, for a while, and Malenko and a few places like that.
So you're just born and bred cars. That's...
I was, yeah. Look, I was an athlete when I was younger. I don't look like much of an athlete now.
Come on, brother.
I busted my leg when I was 20 years old.
You've had a few horrific crashes and stunts and...
2 big ones. Yeah, 2 big ones. So the leg was the first one, which is the sexy part of me that everyone gets to see.
Brother, it's still to this day, like I've seen you 100 million times and it's still, I can't look at that properly. It makes me cringe.
Still a little cringeworthy for some people. So I snapped that clean in 2 playing first grade soccer when I was 20. And that was a long recovery period. Whilst I was recovering from that injury, I was stuck at home. I couldn't go to work as a cabinet maker. My best mate that worked across the road where I used to work as an apprentice and a cabinet maker, he was a mechanic, and I spent a lot of time in there in that shop learning and doing stuff. And that's where I used to dabble with my own cars.
So in the process of you being basically decapitated, you're in there learning cars. Cool.
So I was in there learning about cars. I painted my first car in my own little 3-bedroom, townhouse in Palmy. I was rolling around on a snap-on chair because I couldn't walk, and just sanding and painting and did all of that.
What colour?
It was Kermit Green, Green SLR 5000.
Beautiful.
Which terrorised the streets of the Gold Coast for a very, very long time.
I feel like it used to be the glory days back when they had the Surface Paradise, had the drag strip.
100%. I had a hatchback back then that used to run like 9-second aspirated passes, which was super quick. Mark had, Biscuit had the R32 GDR back then for so long. We had plenty of toing and throwing and street racing on, who was the quickest for a long time.
On closed roads, of course, because we don't condone that on the channel.
That's exactly right.
In Mexico.
They were in Mexico.
Yes.
But and that sort of was the evolution to getting into drag racing.
Yeah, cool. And then ultimate car now, is it this behind us?
That car, anyone that hasn't heard that story, it's a long-winded story, but that car was in the APSA days, like in the original traditional Pro Street days when Johnny Abib was running it and everything. Brewy had the green Frog Stomp panel van, which had a big blown engine hanging out of the bonnet, and it was a panel van, and it was just like this crazy wild car. Like we'd go racing. I had a hatchback Tirana back then, and it was a fast car. Aspirated, it ran like 9.1s. It's the second fastest mod street blown car in the country at the time. Mick Vorse was faster than me.
What period are we talking now?
It would have been in the late 90s. Of APSA. And then we'd see this car, like Brewy's car, the Frog Stomp thing, come out and it'd just do these crazy wheelies and it'd be torque twisting and it'd be pedaling it. And me and my mates always thought, that's fucking cool, man. See, I really like it.
For me, back in, to think, blown V8 drag cars, my first images of them off the line, twisting, just aggressive, and you got to really drive them.
And even, when we talk about door slammers and that back in the day, like Victor Bray's original door slammer, it was a steel-bodied 57 Chev that they built,
wild, isn't it?
Back in the Wild Bunch days. And seeing that and growing up with that, that's what we all sort of aspired to.
Of course.
So Brewy passed away and that panel van stopped racing. And I always wanted one. I just thought it'd be a cool car. I thought, I'd love to do that car like Brewy's old panel van. And it just, I kept looking for it and it never came up. So I built Tirana after Tirana after Tirana over the years, I became known for being a bit of a Tirana guy.
Yep.
And one day a panel van came up, and it was,
It wasn't the green one though?
No.
Yep.
This was a rusty shell
Yep.
at a salvage yard of all places.
Yep.
And we went up there and had a look at it, and basically I stayed there, sent the boys back to pick up the trailer,
Yep.
started to move everything in the salvage yard out of the way with the guy just so we could get the car out.
Yeah,
it was
right.
like a whole day's ordeal.
Wow.
And then we eventually got it out, put it in the trailer. Half the parts he collected for the car were at his house. Then
Yep.
we had to go round to his house, pick it all up, came back here, and basically started from, what we now call the barn find of a rusty, non-running,
Yep.
no floors in it,
Wow.
shell of a car
To that. This is the pinnacle. Like everyone in drag racing in Queensland especially would know this car. Like it's a proven deal.
It is. It's really proven, and it's not. We didn't go out with an objective to go, this is going to be a fast, small tyre, no prep car.
Yep.
My objective with this car was to build something that would be competitive.
Yep.
Everyone likes winning. No one likes to be the loser.
Yep.
But there's always is a loser in
Yep.
what we do. Someone always has to come second.
100%. At the end of the day, as long as you're out there having a bit of fun, this is my opinion, as long as you're having fun, no one's getting hurt, that's a win.
We've got a philosophy at ASG Motorsports because my wife works here, my daughter works here, my youngest son, stepson, he's worked with us for a while
Yep.
until he left. We're very family based, you
Yep,
know what I mean?
sure.
Like we want, when we go to the track, we want people to enjoy themselves.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Especially with your customers as well.
Yeah, for sure. And then the wins that come with that are more enjoyable. But
Yep,
if you just
100%.
go there with an objective that you've got to be there to win, it makes the event a lot less enjoyable.
Yeah, totally. There's so much stress and pressure.
So that objective was to build a competitive car that
Yep.
we could use in a various array of events. And at the time when we built this car 3.5 years ago,
Yep.
no prep was starting to come on the scene.
Yep.
So I sort of thought, I wouldn't mind being able to do a bit of no prep.
Yep.
So I need to be able to register it.
Yep.
Kenda Radial, Justin and I go way back, and we all love Kenda Radial.
Yep.
It is the pinnacle of events in
Yep.
this country at
Totally.
the moment. I don't think there is a better event run.
For drag racing,
drag
absolutely
racing.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to be able to fit it in the Kenda.
Yep.
And like I said, and I wanted to be able to drive it on the street. So that were our
100%.
three objectives.
Yep.
So I built a car that has
does it all.
evolved into Hellraiser.
Yep.
And it's a solid contender in OG 275.
I'll tell you what, but if I ever saw that down at the local milk bar, getting a loaf of bread on a Sunday morning, mate, I'd be out the front there. I'd be doing this as like every other kid would be doing.
Yeah, look, it definitely, when we were cruising around during the recent GC 500
Yep.
and we were cruising town through surface and going to dinner and that in it,
Yep.
there's definitely a lot of people,
I could imagine.
wanting us to do burnouts.
It's pretty well known. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, look, the car's been quite competitive in
Yep.
no prep. I think anyone to step back and say that they're the best at no prep or they're the best at radial is a big ask.
Yep.
But Paulie Butler's definitely making a big impact with Nana.
100%.
That car is...
They got that on song, because it can do
mate,
the best of both.
that car is superbly set up
Yep.
for no prep.
Yep.
And to be honest, we've given Paulie a run for his money, but I haven't beat him yet.
Sure.
So that's kind of one of the things, Paulie, we would like to do with the panel van.
Throw out the bit of banter.
coming for you, mate. We're going to have a crack.
That's one thing I like is what makes it fun is, that friendly banter between the boys, you know what I mean? Like, I found like when I was just starting to get on top of my thing at Kenda and I'm having a laugh with Andy and all the spot-on family, and then it's with O'Carroll and throwing a bit of banter, like win, lose or draw. At the end of the day, if you're in the beams together having a bit of a laugh, chuck $50 or $100 on or whatever, it's great value. It's fun.
I think with what we do with our sport now as racers, I think we handle our sport a lot better than we did when when I was younger. When
Yep.
we raced, there wasn't as much of that connection between the races.
Yeah, right.
I think the big thing that our sport has lacked, which I think Street Outlaws coming to Australia showed us a lot,
Yep.
and taught us a lot, was that we need to get behind our drivers.
Yeah.
Because you're not always going to drive a Fox
Yep.
body.
Yep.
I'm not always going to drive a panel van.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like at the next event, I'm driving the Nova. But if we get behind our drivers and our drivers interact like we all do now, I
Totally.
think is really good.
Yeah.
Like,
It builds like a character as
yeah,
well.
when we go to the start line,
Yep.
I'm going to go to the start line and try and beat you.
100%.
And you're going to do the same to me. And
Yep.
we're not going to hide from that
Yeah,
fact.
yeah, definitely.
But before we get in the car, there's no reason we can't be mates.
Definitely. Let's throw a bit of banter and have a good time. At
Of
the end of the
course.
day, as long as everyone's safe and gets to the other end, perfect.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
Whereas I think when we talk about racing 20 years ago when I was younger, I think we did less communicating between the drivers
Yep.
at the events.
So would that create a bit of a hostility almost?
It almost does. There was a lot of, back, 20, 25 years ago when we raced, there was a lot of hidden stuff, like the
Yeah,
guys
yeah,
in
yeah.
certain brackets, they'd cover their
Yes,
engines
yes.
and they'd cover their gearbox box, or they
Which
didn't
in
want to talk to you before the race.
A lot of the no time stuff over in America, they do a lot of that stuff.
They do. And to me, that takes the fun out of it, because we all know that if you've got a big budget, you can buy a lot of good stuff.
100%.
Right?
But it can't buy talent.
Can't buy talent. And that really does. A defining thing is tyre size limitation that the surface that you're racing
100%.
on does bring us together.
Definitely.
And that was proven even with, we got our asses handed to us fairly
Which was
solidly.
expected though. Like they do it every day.
Yeah, for sure. I know for a fact that with the Street Outlaws guys, they're definitely running faster than any of us could. Okay? And that's what they do for a professional living.
Literally.
And we weren't prepared for it. If they came again, I think you'd find a lot of us would be better prepared.
For sure.
But like you said, the surface dictates where we're at. And even on their budget, we've got guys within Australia with lesser budgets that can compete.
100%.
You know what I mean?
And that's good to see, because like you said, it's that limiting factor. So everyone has that somewhat of a level playing field. They've just got more data and time.
That's right. And as you know now with drag racing, you can't beat data, and the more laps you've done to be able to just sift through what you've done previously, to be able to work back to what you need to do now is the most helpful piece of information you can have. It's more helpful having that data than having another 100 horsepower.
100%. Now, mate, let's go back onto this thing. Tell us a little bit about the Hellraiser combo, what's done to it, paint.
So it's one of our 427 engines. The engine was meant to be, when we did this, it was meant to be the package that I can sell someone. So when someone walks in my door at ASG Motorsports and says, I want a 427 ASG engine, that's what we get. So
and you've tried and tested it, you know what works, what doesn't.
Yeah, definitely. You know, we know what breaks, we know what we fixed to stop it from breaking. I was lucky enough to do a bit of this development while I was at KH's and learned a lot on that package when I was there. So we did a 427 and a 408 and a 388 over there. And I really like the 427 because it's real torquey. It's got a lot of bottom end power and a lot of bottom end grunt. So that's why I put that in this combo.
That thing sounds quite cranky too.
It does. This has a solid cam in it. It's not a huge camshaft, but all my other combos for my customers has a hydraulic cam. Still capable of revving the 7800.
And that's just for the street ability of it?
The street ability, not so much. The maintenance is what it's about. So the difference in horsepower between the camshaft is only about 80 horsepower at the wheels at 35 pounds of boost.
But maintenance is astronomical.
Sure. The maintenance on a solid cam, as you know, you're checking it at every meeting, if not during the meeting. But you know, the hydraulic deal, we can set a customer out like Trent's VL that we've got here, or Damien's VL with our 427s and that in them. We can set that customer out the race, the whole event, and unless there's a failure with like a rocker or a spring or a valve or something, we don't have to take the covers off the motor. So the aim of that package is to build a strong engine that you don't even really need to take the plugs out of at an event, that you can go out and enjoy. So that's perfect. What that got.
Great for a racer that wants to go fast but not go to that next level.
Yeah, correct. So we could build a better, bigger, faster combo for that car, but it doesn't justify the need for it because we have a 460 index, as you know, in OG 275. There's nobody in this country at the moment on a small tyre, no prep car, running 460s. So we've got enough motor in that car to run the two classes we want to do and still be able to go for a drive.
Will you go down and do Johnny Habib's no prep thing that he's kicking off?
I'm in such disappointment about it because I want to race it. We want to run either the Nova or the panel van. And Johnny and I have been talking for a long time about this and leading into it. But the date that he's chosen puts me a week after our first round of Kenda and a week before the Pulse, the Pulse Expo. And we've got the Nova going up to the Pulse Expo for Craig and Kelly from Banks Racing Products for their trade display with the trans coolers and that. Amazing product and awesome people to deal with.
I'll be getting one of those too.
So they're really cool, and we've committed to that to them. And there's just no way I can pack up from Kenda and be ready to go to Johnny's within 2 days and go to Sydney and do that, and then get back and then be ready to put that on the stand at Pulse. So
it's a big ask. I don't know how these guys in America do it. Hey, they literally pack up at one track, they go straight to the next one.
If you're earning a living racing, it's different.
We're hobbies. We're hobby racers.
We are, and even I am. Even though I own ASG Motorsports, as I said to you off camera before, you know, you said, what are you up to today? Well, it's a Saturday, and I've been in here since 7:30, tuning a customer's car, finalising another tune on another car, bending up some bar work for a front bar on another customer's car, and I'm actually in here doing jobs. Like we haven't touched a single thing to do with our cars, and we don't during
People don't see that, hey?
No. People think that because there's a big name on the door, and you know, I've got a few guys working for me me, and we've got a great team of guys here, we really do. But nobody works on my car during work hours.
People only see the good stuff, they don't see what goes on behind.
100%.
Yeah, of course.
So if you're like the guys in America and you're going from race to race and you're earning a living out of racing, well, that's how you can do it.
100%.
But when you're trying to run a business...
Well, their business is them. They're promoting themselves 20%.
Well, it's like you can't leave all your customers and be gone for 4 weeks just to go racing.
Would be nice, but
it would be. I'd be pretty keen on doing it. But
now, mate, how does someone, they want to come in, they want to get a build off you, lead-in times, what's the best process for them? They're looking at these cars and going, fuck, I want to build something like this.
We're a diverse shop, so we do quite a bit of everything.
The
backbone of what I did with ASG Motorsports was built on the fact that when I was younger, I hated taking my car on a trailer to 5 different shops. And it's hard. And I know a lot of people still do that because there's a lot of guys that specialise specifically in their 4 or 5 different elements that we do, and they're good at it, and people will go there. But we built ASG Motorsports primarily as a shop that you can just bring your car to, drop it off. We do everything in-house.
Like a one-stop shop, basically.
One-stop shop. Everything's done here except paint and panel.
I feel like that's really good too, because then if something goes wrong, it's all in-house instead of someone trying to blame this person, that person trying to blame that person.
It definitely is extremely busy environment to be involved in. In any given day, I will have done 25 different jobs throughout the day because I have a hand in everything. I don't just sit in there and answer the phone and suck up the aircon.
Well, I thought you were on the lattes with the feet up watching drag racing. Is that how it works? Being the boss?
It'd be nice.
Wouldn't ever.
Maybe when I get home at 9 o'clock at night, maybe I'll get a chance. But no. So what we've got is we've got 2 dynos. We've got a roller dyno. I've got a hub dyno for all our big horsepower race car stuff and everything. We've got an engine room for doing all our engines.
Should we go around and have a bit of a walk around and show everyone?
Yeah, sure.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So obviously when you come in, we've got a small reception area and a fairly large workshop. Nothing too exciting happening in the engine room at the moment.
Just obviously climate controlled, which is amazing.
Yeah, the aircon's great. But typically this is where we build all our engines. I've got a really mature guy that has done engines for a very long time, Dave Stevens, that helps me out in here a couple of days a week because doing 16 hours a day running the shop is pretty draining.
Definitely.
So Dave's been helping me for about a year and a half, with engines. Just got a Clevo stuff there. We've got a couple of LSs at the machine shop at the moment.
Lovely.
And then, obviously from there we've got 250 square metres of mezzanine upstairs to store all the build stuff and shelving. We have our roller dyno, and we only use 1 dyno at a time. So the dyno cells are set up predominantly with a diverter upstairs for the exhaust extraction. So we have 1 extraction unit, so we use 1 dyno at a time. And we do all our cam packages, everything up to about 600 horsepower on a roller dyno. It's just more convenient. I still like, even when we do hub dyno stuff, if I've got a car that is does a lot of street driving, I still like to back it up on the roller dyno, and under the weight of its own wheels and the load of the vehicle, I like to just do all the light throttle cruise and stuff on there. I still think it's a very useful dyno.
And saves you doing it on the street and street tuning.
It does. We don't do anything on the street. The basic stuff, we might check some of these late model cars, we might check some of the recovery to idle stuff on the street. But other than that, we don't really do a lot of street driving with the customers' cars. And then we sneak across into our other dyno.
Mate, we're going to talk more about this thing soon. This is what we're here to see.
The golf buggy. Everyone wanted to know how much power all our cars made the other day. And the golf buggy included, we ended up at 6,450 horsepower sitting over there with those cars in the buggy.
How good.
So one guy was only 60 horsepower out. So Dave won that. But then we've got our
hub dyno.
Our Pro Hub dyno here from Mainline. Amazing bit of equipment, really is.
3,000 rated?
Yeah, it's a 3,000 rated one. The ability to be able to do a pass on this dyno from the trans brake has been a bit of a game changer for me. We can set boost curves, timing curves, things like that up, and we can actually, we talked about it before, and you said, with no prep, you're never going to use 1,800 horsepower, which we clearly don't. But what I can tell you is that when we leave the start line in a no prep environment, we leave with on the panel van, it leaves with about 480 horsepower off the 2-step, and it ends up with about 1,200 at the end of the run. And we know that from grabbing that run, we've got that tune up in the car, we can put it on that mainline dyno and set up the trans brake, and we can leave off the button and we can see the power curve of what you're actually doing.
And how much torque management's coming into play.
Correct, no, it's a really cool thing. So
ECUs have come such a long way, hey?
Mate, honestly, coming from the days, I think the first ECU I learned tune on was a Digi1 Microtech, which you needed a little jeweler's screwdriver to adjust the dials on, and that was on a 4AGE twin cam cam Toyota Corolla engine. So yeah, coming from that to where we are now, you know, and through the evolution of all the Motec stuff that I did, being a Motec dealer for so many years as well, for a very long time. And we did lots of Motec in the Middle East. It was never an affordable package in Australia for the guys to just go, oh, I got a turbo VL and I want an ECU. So everyone bought a Microtech, because back then they were $1,100. Whereas in comparison back then, a Motec was 4,000. So it was
I guess
4 times
Dubai
the price.
money or the UAE money versus Aussie money is completely different though.
Yeah, correct, yeah.
What have we got going on down the back here, mate?
So down the back is our fab area. This is where we do a lot of fabrication. So we have 2 fab guys, sheet metal specialist, and then a tube guy, does all our tubes and turbo stuff, manifolds.
Awesome.
Sadly, I spend a lot of time down here, you know, helping out the guys. It's just hard. It's hard, a big shop. I have a hand in everything that goes on.
And just running around like a mad chook trying to...
Yeah, and if someone's sick, well, whether it's someone that's on one of the service hoists or whatever, well, I pick up the pieces.
Of course.
So yeah, so if one of my fabbies is sick, well, I'm down here building race cars.
Perfect.
So yeah, so we do all that down there. So that's my daughter's Bluebird. It's getting an LS conversion.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Charlie's gonna love that.
Yeah. Angry Bird's on its way. Hopefully we'll have that out this year. Just an aspirated thing for her to learn on.
Of course. What a cool car to learn on.
Yeah, we've got Mitch's, Mitch's LJ here we're building. So that's a pretty extensive build. It started in another shop. Didn't get time to get it finished there, so it's come up to us at the end of the year last year.
I won't go too close then, it's an in the build deal.
Yeah, no, it's all good. And then this is a nice little Cortina it's about to get a new late model package put into it. Hopefully a car that'll be out racing some radial stuff with us, you know, in the next 18 months.
And then just the general Commodores and other servicing cars that you do?
As you know, we never really went out of our way to be a LS workshop. You know, like I think a lot of us, you know, even the boys at High Talk, I think we kind of get branded into things by our customers.
Of course.
And then you get a lot of LSs bought to your shop. Well, we're not an LS workshop. We do RBs, 2Js.
You guys do a lot of it, people want to go there.
We do, yeah. So obviously in this country, the LS platform has been one of the biggest markets of what we do within the industry. But we still do a lot of other stuff, like Richie's Mustang, we do a lot of Coyote stuff, we do Mustangs. We've sort of avoided a lot of the Falcons and the Barra stuff. It's a different market that didn't really sort of meet my clientele.
Sure.
But we tune them, we still do upgrades.
Beautiful.
This little Mustang's pretty cool. I like doing these old school cars. I'm a big fan of chrome bumpered stuff. So yeah, this is Matt's Mustang. It's got a Tocker engine in it and it's getting updated with fuel injection and a pair of 76mm turbos.
Love that.
Yeah, it's a North Queensland car.
Oh, good.
So yeah, that'll go
and
up.
all the Haltech fruit in it?
It is, yeah. It's a full Nexus package. It's getting a UC10 dash. We do the standard 3 rotary trims that I set up for all my customers. I try to keep a lot of that stuff the same, so everybody, whenever anyone rings, they know exactly what's going on. If anyone forgets something, well, we all know how it's set up.
Perfect. Now, mate, tell us a little bit about this amazing piece of machinery here. I frothed these when I was a young kid.
It's funny because when I was younger, I had a hatred for VL Walkinshaws.
Why?
Because I couldn't afford one.
Mate, they're so nice. Look, to me, it's like the pinnacle of a VL. I don't know why.
I'll be honest, we've built quite a lot of VLs over the years. You know, like as street cars for customers and things like that. Damien McKern's Burgundy VL that we finished last year, and he ran it at Jamboree. That's a stunning car. I really like that car.
I remember seeing that here when we did your open day.
Got the 427 package in it. So that is one of the cars that's coming as part of Team ASG for Kenda season this year. Trent and Fleur's Walkinshaw was built as a race, like a drag and drive car by Adam Rogash, and Trent got together and built this car at MPW. Trent and Fleur have moved further away from MPW and are looking to start doing a bit of racing out of the Willowbank sort of area. They came to us and said, we need the car updated. We want to take it racing now. We've done the show scene, we've done the front cover of Street Machine. So we've changed a few things around. There's been quite a bit of changes done to the car, and we've done a complete retune. So not open Adam's tune and then just tidied up a fuel mat. We've actually started a complete rewrite and set up with an ASG tune package in it.
Lovely.
So we've added our rotary trim switches and things that I put in them. We've put a a Motion Raceworks shifter in it, air shifted, sort of auto shift for him.
Which is something I believe you need, hey, to get that perfect consistent shift every time.
Look, No, I have this argument with a few people, and I like to have it on the cars because it takes away the one thing, just one margin of error over the 8th mile. And it only takes one over rev or short shift, and you're a 10th off your pace in the 8th.
Or hurting an engine.
Or you're hurting an engine. So I really like it. The panel van has it, even though it's a power glide, and it only does the 1-2. But yeah, I really like it. We put it on all the cars that we can do it. So we've done all of that. Moved catch tanks to the rear of the vehicle. Taken the exhaust off it. Put his side pipes on. Changed the rocker covers. Got some Tremaniac rocker covers on there now. With the coil packs mounted in easy locations, so we can change spark plugs a lot easier. And we've just made the car usable. It's got one of our ASG Motorsports tool trays, which you're
yes, which is one thing I want to chat to you about too.
Yeah, and then we've retuned the car. Obviously, we were checking some two-step stuff when you first rocked up. But yeah, this car.
Can we share that video? I took a sneaky one there.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
fine.
Guys, you want to hear the sound of this thing when I rocked up? It was incredible.
It's a nice.
Incredible.
It's a nice build. It really is. You know, it's got a good converter and good gearbox package in it, and the car's basis of what's been done to it is all there. So we've just refined a few things to make it the way that Trent and Fleur need it to be, so that they can just come racing. It's getting a BRP racing transcooler as well. Yeah, and amazing product again. You know, they work so well in comparison to some of the stuff we've used in the past.
Yep, definitely.
It's been hugely successful on the Nova. Love the transcooler.
Mate, let's have a quick chat about the Vader. Have a bit of a walkthrough around that scene.
Yeah, for sure.
It's one of the toughies.
It is. It's probably, like I said, the undertaking of the car was to be able to be a no prep car.
Yes.
So the best thing about that is you can start with a factory steel bodied car.
Beautiful.
So it is a genuine steel roof and quartered Nova.
Yep.
And it still has the original seals, the original quarters, all the steel roof. And yeah, we got Richie what he wanted, which was a twin turbo big block that made over 2,000 horsepower.
Yep. Effortlessly.
Effortlessly, yeah. It was a challenge at first. There's a few little glitches there with all this stuff, running big injectors and things.
Yep.
But the motor itself come together well. I chose a few things different to what most people do. Like, you know, we haven't got the SR20 style head or whatever. This has got the Sunny's head on it, the 14.5 degree head, so it's got adapter plates and things that we had to get made for the intake to work.
Yes.
But I think with the cylinder head program that's on it and the way we've built the car, I think it's going to be a nice car to be able to go out and enjoy as a low 4-second car.
Definitely.
With or without a radial on it.
Yep.
As you know, once you go faster than 415, you need electromotion and your safety gear needs to be different. And, you know, there's a few things that add to the expenses.
Definitely.
So,
but I feel like racing is everything's money.
Unfortunately, it is, yeah. It's a sad reality of what we do. Like, look at the cost of tyres. You know what I mean? You want a set of tyres to go racing. You're dropping $1,500 before you've even done
I remember when I
it.
first got into the serious trying to go fast, not so much on the racetrack, but $400 for one tyre. And I was like, oh, that wasn't too bad. You know? But now the times have changed. Hey?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, they're like $800 a tyre now.
Shall we have a look inside, mate?
Of course you can.
And it's all just the finer details too. Like everything, it's just strictly business.
Yeah. It's pretty cool, even with the...
no cup holders?
No cup holders, but
mate.
I did put an interior light in it.
Beautiful.
And that was predominantly because I'm getting old.
And you know what, especially at night time in the lanes, you know, you need to see what's going on. But
yeah, so I did put an interior light on it just at night time. Strapping in these cars is a two-person job, as you know.
And the new dash, how good, hey?
Yeah, look, really, really happy with the look of the new dash.
I'm so glad Haltech has gone that way. Like the other ones, as much as they were cool, it looks so much like a Game Boy.
One of the things that we've struggled with from a Haltech perspective for a long time, because I've used Haltech for a very long time. It has to be.
That's your preferred?
For me, it is, yeah. And it became a preferred method of doing ECU packages within our business for two reasons. A, they're Australian. Sadly, they've been sold now, but they're still operated and built here in Australia, which I'm still happy about. But A, they were Australian, and B, the support network for the product that they've had has been amazing for a very long time. And, you know, over those years, we've built a rapport with quality staff, and they help us work through any glitches or problems that we've got, or working out something that's not necessarily within the boundaries of what they're doing, but we would like to try and do this. So they'll look at putting that into
and they're happy to work work with racers and people to try and get that up.
100%. Yeah. So
That's
so
perfect.
that's been a big thing for us.
Now, mate, it'd be rude not to have a bit of a squiz around the now famous Hellraiser. So tell me, mate, let's go for a walk around. Show me inside this thing, under the bonnet, all of the fruit, the secrets.
It's basically a full steel roof and quarter car.
Yes.
It's still steel doors. It's still glass. Still quarter glass. All that is all the original stuff of the car.
So pretty much you're saying it's really light.
No, I wish it was light like the Nova. If it was the weight of the Nova, it'd be amazing.
Yeah, wouldn't it?
But no, this car, when we go to a no prep event, obviously everybody adds a bit of weight here or there for their different events. We've got front bias for the radial stuff, rear bias for the no prep stuff. So if we go to a no prep event, sadly this car comes in at around 3,580 pounds with a driver in it and a full tank of fuel. But it's actually sitting in radial trim at the moment with a new set of 275s on it with only 4 hits on them.
Beautiful.
And we were contemplating taking it to the first round of Kenda, but I'm going to be driving the Nova.
Sure.
So it's currently sits at about 3,400 pounds as a radial car.
And the inside is immaculate too.
Yeah, so everything's trimmed into this car because we wanted it to be a street representative car. All of our functionality is done for everything on this car is done through the keypad, indicators, lights, wipers, the whole lot. Even if you pan up and have a look at the roof, the whole roll cage is completely trimmed in.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even know. Holy.
Yeah.
Mate, that is immaculate.
Yeah, so
the
it's
attention to detail is phenomenal.
Yeah, 2-packed in and trimmed in. So
wow.
Literally when you open the door, it just looks like A-pillars are trimmed in. There's no, roll cages or rear hoops and stuff that are really noticeable if you drive past the police to try and lessen the attention.
Of course, mate. I feel like this is a head turner no matter where you go.
Yeah, look, it's not too bad. Believe it or not, when we put the mufflers on it with the side pipes and then having an actual muffler and a turbo muffler, it keeps it relatively quiet.
Yeah, definitely.
So
that's the beauty about the turbos, hey? They sort of shut them up a little bit.
They do, yeah. And all of our lights and indicators and everything all work and function as per normal.
Like
high
a proper
beams.
street car.
Yeah, like a proper street car should. We lost the indicator lens, obviously, as a HR for the turbo intakes.
Yes.
But we've got the,
You've gained some turbo space.
Yeah, some space for the turbos. It used to be fillable. We used to fill it actually through the original fuel filler here.
Yeah, how good.
Yeah, but as you evolve, we've since put a fuel cell in the back.
Sure. And we're going to put weight over the bum of it as well. Hey?
And raised it up to get some weight in the areas that we needed. So we now fill it through the back of the car here.
Yep.
And there's no secrets. Everybody sees us at the track with this. So this all fills up through the back. So we've got a nice remote filler here.
Oh, good. The attention to detail, I didn't know it was so good looking on the inside. Wow.
Yeah, the car's better looking than its owner. There's no doubt about it.
Well, mate, that might be debatable, mate. What's the missus reckon?
Yeah, well, she married me and not the car, so that's a good thing.
How good. Mate,
but yeah, we've
amazing.
got multiple setups for the car. Like right now in radial trim, something that we've now just changed over is I've gone to a single chute.
Yep.
Obviously, when you go racing, if you've got 2 chutes on the car, you can't have one disconnected and only use one. IHRA are a big thing about them.
Yep.
If you've got 2 chutes, they've both got to be active. So obviously, we don't need 2 chutes at the 8th. This car only goes like 150 in the mile an hour in the 8th.
Yep.
So 1 chute's enough. So we've swapped it back over. And then when we want to go no prep racing, we have a dual parachute mount here for when we go no prep racing, because the reality of that is it's not no trade secret anymore, but that parachute mount's quite heavy. So that just adds to my rear weight. Car's painted in silver mink. Ben next door did that at Full Circle Restorations.
Speed's heck up.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, the guys at Austrade Paint Supplies helped us out with all the product for the car.
Lovely.
Yeah, and it come together nice.
Yeah, how good.
Sits at a standard ride height all the time. The car doesn't go any lower than this. It's not built to be a lead sled. A lot of guys like their cars to be really nice and low and aero to the ground, and that's great for a race car, but we're not doing it with this car. We never intended. It's just meant to look like a street car.
This is people's dream, mate, right here. Like, people would kill to own something like this.
Well, this is the sort of car that can be acquired and it can be owned, and it will possibly be for sale later this year. We're looking at a new build for the shop.
Hey, if there's anyone watching this that want to get their hands on something ready to go racing, hit the man up.
If they're keen if they're super keen, they may even be able to get in it for the first round of Kenda. The car is sitting here, set up, ready to go for the first round, but I will be driving the Nova.
Do you do afterpay?
Maybe not for that one.
Can I drive it and then pay after?
Yeah, maybe not for that one.
Definitely.
So
that's cool, mate. Awesome. So, guys, if you want to get into something, I would highly recommend this. Anyone who knows drag racing, especially in Queensland, if not in Australia, this thing is proven, sounds good, looks good, goes good.
Has setups and tune-ups for no prep, radial, and
obviously you'll be able to give them support and stuff for anyone.
100%.
Yeah.
If I sell this car to anyone, it will come with its tune-ups for all the different events that we race at, and we have a Bible of all the different setups that will go with it. Yeah,
totally.
It's not something we would just throw someone down the line with no info or data on.
See you later.
We want to see the car perform even if we didn't own it.
Yeah.
But
awesome. Well, mate, I'd be sad to see it go, but I'd know where it would go, and it'd be still back at the racetrack. So
look, it's one of those things. If I was a millionaire like everyone thinks I am, I'd keep the car and I'd build another one. But I don't have the money to build another project.
One for every day of the week would be nice, wouldn't it?
It would be. Ultimately, I think that's every car guy's dream, but it's not every car guy's budget.
So, mate, one thing we did forget to talk about, and one of the most amazing things I've seen is these. I was fortunate enough to get myself one of these. Mate, tell us a little bit about it.
Obviously, the build of the car dictated that we needed a decent tool tray.
Yep.
On these cars, obviously, like with your car, we're continually setting rockers, we're checking plugs every run. So a tool tray is like an imperative part of the equipment that we need. We couldn't really buy anything that fitted a Plasma Man intake for a big block or an LS engine other than carburetted style intakes, you know. So, and I didn't want to modify one. So we set about drawing up and having these ones built for us and fabricated. And mate, they're just a great little tool tray. I've made them so that you've got a nice deep area there, nothing falls out. You can, like, we've got wrenches and cordlesses and stuff just sitting in here at the moment, tubs of grease, some ARP stuff.
All the usual stuff.
Yeah, but we've got it so that you've got two sets of spark plugs. So you can have the set that you're putting in, which is a brand new set, gap ready to go. The set that you pull out that you're reading your tune-up off. You've got some areas for your screwdrivers and stuff like that. They've got rubber feet so they don't damage your fuel rails.
Perfect.
And they're adjustable for an LS or a big block Chev Plasma Man. They fit on a Holly high-rise as well. Josh put his on a Holly high-rise, so that your one fitted on that. They're just a great deal, you know. Like,
and you sell these?
We sell them here. You can get them from just by emailing us or hitting us on our socials. I can't remember the exact price that they come in at, but I think we make about $10 out of them, mate. It's more of a service.
Totally.
All my customers have got them now, so that when we go, like when Trent races and Damien race and all that, we can have their tool trays with their spanners in them, and our boys can just go from one car to the other. They've got their own equipment. When they're finished, they just literally take it off the car, put it in the trailer, and you're away.
That's one thing when I first got started, obviously with the car being a bit more serious, is I just had tools and shit on benches and I was always losing stuff. This here is an essential piece, I think, so for anyone that wants to work on their car. Yeah, what we do, which I'm sure most of the big guys do, and you'll do it now even as well, you'll end up with a separate set of tools that just stay in that tray, and it's all your top end stuff that you're working with to do your rockers and your plugs and things like that. Which is the stuff you use basically every pass.
Every pass, that's it. So
awesome.
Cool little item, powder coated or natural finish. Obviously they've got an ASG Motorsports logo in it because we've designed it.
Yeah, 100%. You got to rep the people that designed it and made it. So
yeah, we did make a couple without logos. So anyone that wants one without a logo, I do have a couple left. But typically to get them to be affordable, I have to run them off with our logo.
Of course. Yeah. Definitely. Mate, I love it. I got mine, like I said, I've got mine for my birthday. I didn't know it was coming. Joshy's walked around the corner and he's brought around this tool tray and I knew straight away, I was like, yeah, that's an ASG one. That was the one. So
if I'd known it was Josh, we'd have charged him double.
He would have charged me double.
He would have charged you double,
How good.
No,
awesome.
they're a good piece.
Definitely, so, I love them. Awesome. Yep, guys, so get onto the website or email these guys and make sure you get yourself one of these. So worth it. Mate, so we've just talked about the car. Now let's move on to the 3 questions, which I think I've got to know some of the answers to these. I'm sort of getting pretty good at these. I've asked a few times. 3 cars, mate. Daily, race car, and the fuck you car, I've called it.
It's kind of hard because as a car guy, there's a lot of variation in cars.
Totally.
Coming from a background of a lot of different makes and models, not just growing up as a Holden guy or a Ford guy or a Toyota guy, there's a lot of cars I love. And I love cars. And I love the build.
I appreciate them.
But the daily, I would have to say, I am enjoying it already. My wife allowed me to buy a new LTZ Chevy pickup truck and upgraded my GMC, the old GMC last year.
How good.
And to be honest, I just like a good work ute, and it's a good workhorse, and has a lot of tech, and I really like it. So it's a great daily. So I'm already in the daily. I like it.
Race car?
Race car, you're probably sitting next to it. The Nova's pretty cool.
That's what I was thinking you'd say.
Look,
that's one badass car.
It is. And when I built this car for Richie, the whole time I was building this car, I kept thinking in the back of my mind, I'm going to build this car as if I was building it for myself.
Of course.
You know?
Well, I mean, you've got runs on the board. You've done it a million times. That's what I was sort of alluding to before. Like,
Yeah.
How much input did you have in terms of your spin on the car?
Yeah, so the idea and the concept of that car is a lot of my inspiration and my passion as well.
Totally.
Again, I've had, like pro turbo cars over the years. I've had really fast super stock cars over the years. I've crewed on pro stock cars and, door slammers and Lizzie's Pro Mod and all the rest of it. And don't get me wrong, everyone's dream is always to go faster in drag racing. But you do get to a point where you go, I don't want to be a top fuel driver.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in
But that's the progression
dragsters.
eventually, is to go to that level.
Everybody sort of thinks it is.
Nitro funny cars.
Yeah, for me it's not. I really like that level of racing. That low 4-second zone.
Yeah. And it's competitive. There's a lot of cars.
It is. There's heaps of brackets. There's heaps of classes. So ultimately, as a car that I would say is where we're at, that would be it.
Now the fuck you car.
The fuck you car is a really, really hard thing to choose from. But the fuck you car for me would be one of our 1500 horsepower twin turbo sandrail cars that we built in the Middle East.
Yes.
With some sort of, whoever's out there that can do it for us, homologate it, get it registered for the road here in Australia, that would be sick.
Could you imagine it?
It would be awesome, yeah.
That would be sick. That's one of my things I've wanted to do in life is, one, go there and see what it's all about, but then to sit in one. What's that one they do? Not the Baja, there's like one in America. It's an event. The name's on the top of my tongue.
They have a lot of these events like the Dakar Rally type stuff and everything, and these types of Pro 2 and Pro 4 stadium trucks are amazing. I worked with a team in the Middle East that had a few of these trucks, and then that evolved into working for another team in Indonesia. And I worked for them for 3.5 years, nearly 4 years, building side-by-sides that we raced in an off-road series through Indonesia and Sumatra with a few 8 Americans and that. And I was tuning all the cars there, which was one of the ones where we're talking about accidents. That's where I had a big wreck in one of those cars, broke my back, broke my neck, split my head open, hence my bald spot. But yeah, again, another amazing form of racing and motorsport, but we really don't get to experience it here because as much as we have, deserts and these types of, rural areas, there's nowhere like there is in America or in the Middle East where you can just drive 30, 40 minutes to a location and go and cut sick. We don't have the facility and the tracks for it. So that to me is the fuck you car. Having something like that over here would be amazing. It'd be really cool.
Mate, I like that. That's no one's ever said that before too, which is cool. Now, mate, a piece of advice you would give yourself 5 years ago?
5 years ago, probably stay working for all the guys in the Middle East and not run my own business. It was probably more than 5 years ago. But yeah, running your own business is a very stressful environment.
Totally.
Would I change it? Probably not. But a younger man would probably have done things differently.
Would you? Yeah. So that's what I was about to ask next. Is would you do anything different?
As a younger man, if I was a single man, I probably would never have come back to Australia. Working overseas in the Middle East and in Indonesia and in America and that with a few of the guys that I've had the luxury of doing for a long time. The hardest part about that whole experience, the only thing that I would say was hard, was just being away from my family, my wife and my kids. So because it wasn't an environment social enough to bring them into.
Of course. Well, it's not a family environment, right?
No,
like
it's not. It's not. So, So if I was a younger man, I didn't have a wife and kids, I would have just stayed there and done it. You know what I mean? And things
probably had a couple of those sand cars yourself.
I'd say so.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't think I could live in that country and not have one of those weapons.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah,
Mate,
cool.
So let's give yourself a plug. Where can everyone find you if they're interested? One, to buy the car, which
just hit me up on social media if you're interested in the car. Everyone knows my handle. Either the Hellraiser panel van.
Let's give it a plug, mate. Chuck it down there. But we've got to go.
Yeah, that's it. Well, Hellraiser panel van, if you've got over 200K, give me a call. And then if you want to see ASG Motorsports or anything we do, hit us on all the socials.
Facebook, Instagram.
Facebook and Instagram.
We'll chuck in a few little plugs there.
Yeah, that's it. And we're located down here at Coomera in the Marina Precinct near Dreamworld.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
nice.
Pretty easy to get to and centrally located to either side of the coast in Brisbane.
It's actually really